BBC Sounds, the Scottish Football Podcast.
From BBC Radio Scotland.
Hello and welcome to BBC Scotland's daily football podcast with me, Jane Lewis. If you haven't already done so, you can subscribe at BBC Sounds. In this episode, we continue looking ahead to Thursday's Euro qualifier between Scotland and Georgia. The Scotland squad have been in Turkey for a couple of days, training before they travel to Tbilisi for that tie. BBC Scotland is with the squad and we've been talking to Scotland defender Jack Hendry. He's been reflecting on this qualifying campaign. He reveals the squad's aims for Germany, and there's more on his move to Saudi, where he's been enjoying a tussle or two with some big names.
Well, Jack, I think we've got to start with the fact that Scotland have already qualified with 2 games to go. Just sum up for us how significant that feels.
Yeah, it's a very good feeling. I think the squad and the managerial staff have done an amazing job to put us in this position, already qualified for a major tournament with 2 games remaining, and it's just a reward for all the hard work we've maybe put in recently. So to have that opportunity to be qualified is very, very good. It's a very good feeling.
You, I think, as a squad, watched the Norway-Spain game, didn't you, when obviously Spain won, which meant that Scotland had qualified as well. What were the emotions? Describe that moment for us.
Yeah, it was very nice to share it with everyone that took part. Also, for me, a few boys were injured and stuff and missed out, but to watch the game and to be together in that moment was very good, and to share it with everyone was special. So yeah, it was a good night. We enjoyed it. Didn't enjoy it too much, just obviously because we had the game against France coming up. So I'm sure maybe after this camp we can enjoy it a bit more. Were
there manic celebrations? Were there tears of happiness? What, can you describe it a bit more for us?
Not so much. Obviously, as the boys were extremely delighted to get it over the line in that way, and yeah, I think we didn't believe it was going to happen probably so early, but we always believed in ourselves, and I think it was mellow celebrations because of that, just because we believed in ourselves that we'd get it done in such a way. But with 2 games remaining, it was extra special.
Obviously 2 games left. You're out here in Turkey with a little bit of sun on your backs to get that kind of final training preparation all done. How's it been out here?
Yeah, very nice. Well, in a great environment, lovely facility here in Turkey, so it's good to get all the boys together and be with each other and have a couple of good days going into the couple of fixtures coming up. So that was probably bear in mind that these would have been very 2 important fixtures, which still are, but yeah, because we did so well in the earlier games, we've kind of get these games free hits.
The manager seems to be suggesting, or the message from the manager is very much end the campaign on a high. How important is it from the players' point of view that you try and do just that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we always want to win every game that we play in, and these 2 next games will be the exact same. It's good to keep momentum up, and obviously coming off the back of 3 really tough fixtures, it's important now to pick ourselves back up with good momentum and try and get 2 victories under our belt against good opposition. So we're fully concentrated and motivated to try and make that happen.
Naturally, it can be easy though to kind of slow down a bit when you've achieved the target that you've set out to try and achieve. How do you try and guard against doing that?
Just the manager and the coaching staff set very high standards, so we as players are all in the same bracket with that, to try and keep our standards extremely high and maintain those to go into the next 2 fixtures, continuing where we've left off, and we don't want to put the foot off the gas.
You mentioned there that the last 3 games you played, obviously the defeats against England, Spain and France. How much did you learn from that as a player personally?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, it's always very good to play against the best in the world, and those 3 teams, I'm sure, were probably one of the favourites going into the tournament. So myself and the squad learned a huge amount out of those games, and I'm sure whether we face them in the Nations Leagues coming up or in the European Championships, we'll be more than ready and more accustomed to their styles of play.
Do you always like to challenge yourself against better teams rather than maybe playing against a team who you're maybe going to put 4 or 5 past you, especially as a defender? You want to challenge yourself against the best strikers in the world?
Yeah, for sure. I think as a defender you always want to get tested, play against the best players, just to test yourself, get some confidence to know that you can compete and play against these type of players. And it's just every game even if it's against lesser opposition, you're always trying to learn and get better. But with playing against better opposition and better strikers, it's natural that your game will get better and get adjusted to better players.
Let's just reflect on this campaign. The opening 2 games you missed actually because of injury, didn't you? But what were you thinking when you were watching your teammates winning against Spain?
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, I flew over to those 2 games just to watch them and to be there in the stands. Obviously, I was itching to be on the pitch, but unfortunately with the injury I couldn't. But yeah, those first 2 games kind of set us up for the rest of the games in the group. And with having such a strong start, it made the next games a bit easier, and we want to finish now this group in the same way we started it. And the boys done an amazing job in those first 2 games, and it was amazing watching them have that success, and hopefully we can carry that on.
You say it was frustrating watching them. Were you thinking, hold on a minute, boys, they're playing a bit too well here, I might not get back in the squad again?
No, of course not. Like, I think that shows the strength and depth of the squad. Even now we've got a couple of injuries, but I'm sure everyone will step in and do an extremely good job, and no matter who's playing. And that's another thing, we've got a really good team environment here. Whoever's playing, we've got full belief and wanting everyone to do well.
Well, you were back in the squad in that game against Norway. Just describe your memories and your emotions of being involved in that game. It was an amazing fixture, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one certainly that I'll be fond of, and down the line. It was a great day, and to do it in the manner we did with those 2 late goals was extra special, and it was great celebrations at the end. And I think the boys knew after that game it was really within our hands to qualify from that group, and thankfully we carried that out. But yeah, it was a special evening in Oslo, and I'm sure that it'll be one that will stick out in the future.
And you managed to keep a certain Mr. Haaland at bay, apart from the penalty he scored, but he had a pretty quiet afternoon, didn't he?
Yeah, look, Haaland's an extremely good player, and as I touched on, it's really good to play against these type of players, and hopefully again he'll be playing coming up on Sunday, because again it's a great experience to play against such a player. And Norway itself have also got very good players, not just Haaland, so it will be a good test for us.
Was that a defining moment for this squad, do you think? Because that was a different way of winning, wasn't it? It showed a lot of resilience. You really had to dig out that victory. Did it kind of send a message to the team that, you know, you can do this? There's different ways to win, and we can now adapt our game to suit and to win in different ways?
Yeah, I think so. I think also it showed the team spirit within the group that maybe necessarily might have not been there in previous campaigns, qualifying. So to dig in that way and to show resilience was, I think, real character of the group. And to go to type of place like that, that's what we want, to go and get results. And we're again in a difficult place in Georgia. Previously Scotland, obviously we find some away fixtures difficult, so we're hopefully trying to change that. And with the experiences of Oslo, hopefully that will put us in good stead.
Yeah, it shows a lot of, I guess, the belief and that maybe is growing in the squad as well from games like that. And that's something the manager always stresses. You know, he has this belief, and now it's kind of evident. It's there for you all to see and feel, I guess.
Yeah, certainly. And even the fixture away to Spain, I think on another night we could have got a very good result there, and it's small margins, but we're definitely on the right track, I would say. We know we've still got a lot of work to do, but it's good to have these experiences to learn off of and hopefully improve the national team to get good results away from home.
Have you seen the belief and confidence growing even from where it is now to where it was at the start of the campaign, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it keeps on progressing the group with the belief and all the rest of it. I think that we're in a very strong place. We need to continue that and not stand still. We need to keep on moving forward, looking into the future games and trying to remain and keep our standards high and seeing how far we can end up.
I guess that kind of confidence and belief comes from the performances that you've put in, from winning as well. But right back at the start, when maybe there isn't that foundation there, is that something that has to come from the manager? How much did Steve Clarke instill that kind of word belief and confidence in the squad?
Yeah, the manager's been massive with the full group, individually and collectively, and he sets high standards within the group, and he believes in us, and he gives us that belief to go and perform on the stage. I think he's very good at that, and then obviously tactically also puts us in a position that we believe that we can get results against these bigger nations. So the manager, as you said, has been the foundation to what's happened with the national team.
Does he have a particular style, a particular way about him?
No, not necessarily. I think every manager's got their own set ways, but the gaffer, the way that he delivers messages and the way that he works every day, as I said, he sets really high standards. So the boys really feed off that and buy into it, and I think that shows with the success we've had recently.
Does he talk to individuals? Would he take you aside to kind of give you one or two wee tidbits or ideas or praise or whatever?
Yeah, for sure. I think he's good at obviously talking to the boys individually and collectively, and will give you information, but not too much, and he knows how to deliver that also. So he's good at the communication sort of things as well.
Is there one thing he said to you that you've kind of really sat up and take notice of?
Probably not to speak of, but he's always feeding messages, getting them across in the right way, and for me he's been brilliant, obviously giving me the opportunity to play for the national team and sticking by me in moments. So I can't speak highly enough of the manager, and hopefully it'll be a relationship that will last long.
You made a big decision in the summer, didn't you, regarding your club career and future. How are things in Saudi?
Yeah, good. Really enjoying it out there, and as I touched on, coming against world-class top strikers and attackers, so that can only help improve my game. And for me myself, playing abroad previously, I looked at it as a challenge and possibly a new adventure, and it's going well so far, and enjoying test myself against a lot of top players.
Yeah, we'll maybe talk about some of the top players in a minute, but in terms of some of the things that you had to consider before moving there, was what effect it might have on your international career? Was that one of the things you had to maybe think long and hard about?
Yeah, for sure. I think the national team's a massive part of my career, and it's a massive privilege and honour to represent my country just for myself and my family. So those are obviously things that I'll certainly take into consideration before any move.
Did you speak to the Scotland manager, Steve Clarke, about it at all? Or?
Yeah, as I said, massive respect for the gaffer, so it was a conversation that I felt that I had to speak to him and just let him know my thoughts, and it possibly could happen.
People talk about the standard. How is the standard? Is it a pretty high level?
Yeah, I would say so. I think if you look at the standard of players that have went over there, the league's going to just continue to grow, and with them looking to host the World Cup in 2034, I think there'll be a real strive to improve the game and try to get it as best as possible, and I'm sure it'll be one of the strongest leagues in the world very soon.
There's a few names familiar to Scottish football. Obviously, you're managed by Stephen Gerrard. Moussa Dembele is with you as well. Jordan Henderson, the England international, plays it in your side as well. What are you learning from these types of players? You know, massive names within the game.
Yeah, obviously the gaff you spoke about there, and Jordan Henderson, these are players that have played at the highest level, won Champions Leagues, and done extremely well with their club and country. So to play with these guys and to be coached with these guys is only going to help improve my game, and day in, day out, I'm learning from them.
Yeah, and you're coming up against players like Mahrez, Benzema as well, and a couple of weeks ago, I think we all saw that and quite enjoyed the tussle with Ronaldo. Talk us about that.
Yeah, just again, really good to be playing against these type of guys, and Ronaldo, obviously one of the best players in the world, and what he's achieved is amazing. So to test myself against them and have that kind of tussle, it's always enjoyable and great to learn and play against these type of guys.
What have you done with his shirt?
Yeah, that will be I'll keep that for a later day. But yeah, it was good to obviously. We didn't get the result in the night, get beaten extra time, but it was good to speak to him after and swap jerseys, and I'll keep that for a later date.
Let's get back to talking about the Euros then. Is there any talk within the squads, either privately or kind of amongst the bigger group, about what you'd like to achieve at the Euros, what you feel you can achieve at the Euros?
I think obviously with having the experience last time, it was maybe a bit of a disappointing one with the results and not qualifying out of the group. I think we'll probably set our standards high, and with the results we've got recently, then I think we'll strive to get out of that group. It's not been spoke about yet. We've obviously got two important fixtures coming up, and then we've got the March fixtures, so I think those conversations will be at a later date, but from my own experience winning it last time, I think we can achieve better than what we did, especially with what we've learned recently, and it'll be certainly a tournament that we would try and be successful. And I think the first thing is to try and get out of the group.
Do you think it's important, and do you think it'll be how valuable do you think it will be that you have had that experience of playing in a Euros before?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think most of the group will be similar, and with obviously probably a few additions from the manager, which I think will help massively. That experience of having a major championship, and it comes across fastly. So with that, with all the experience that we have had in the group, we'll be aiming to do better.
Do you think it's imperative that almost Scotland have to try and get out the groups? It will show that next stage of development, won't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think we've put ourselves in a position now that probably we might be expected to do it. So, look, we want to make the country as proud as possible, and by doing that, getting out of a group, I'm sure that will do that, and the fans will be massive for us, and I'm sure they'll travel in the tens of thousands out there. It'll be a great tournament, and with their backing, hopefully we can achieve what maybe they think we can do, which would be to qualify out of the group.
Do you think Germany's ready for the Tartan invasion?
Maybe not. They've got a few months yet to prepare, so yeah, it'll be a brilliant occasion, and to share it and experience it with the fans. Obviously, with last time with COVID, etc. I'm sure they will travel in the tens of thousands, and hopefully we can make them proud. There
seems to be a real connect now between the players and the fans. Do you feel that, and how much does that help you when you're on the pitch playing?
Yeah, it's obviously a bit cliche, but they certainly are like the 12th man, especially at the home games, and they travel in their thousands away from home also. If you look at the away fixtures, there is quite a bit of journey involved, and the players are always extremely proud to represent the country, and are extremely grateful of the amount of travelling that they do, the Tartan Army. So I'm sure that will be the same case in Germany, and we'll be doing everything in our power to keep on building that relationship moving forward.
We've spoken about the manager. Let's speak a little bit about the squad. There seems to be a real kind of special feeling about the squad. You're quite a tight-knit bunch, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the coaching staff and everyone within the group has built that, and we want to keep that going. Things like this coming out to Turkey will help and get the group together and enjoying in a different environment. So these are the sort of things that I think help successful teams, and it's certainly important to have that good team spirit, and it just seems to keep on growing within ourselves.
Are you closest to anyone in particular, or are you all best buddies together?
No, I think that's one thing that we can say. We all mix and integrate, and we've got a good team spirit. So maybe with other nations, etc., there might be different cliques, but that's certainly not the case here. And I think if anyone was to come in and see, they would see that, and it's really enjoyable to be part of a group that's like that.
I'd imagine there's some real characters in the squad. Can you tell us who the main characters are? Any jokers among the pack?
Well, probably everyone, the standout would be John McGinn. Obviously, he's constantly the centre of any jokes that's going in the camp, and he's a breath of fresh air, obviously, coming away and stuff, and spending some time with him, because he does really lift everyone's spirits, and I think you can just see that on the pitch. So I think people can imagine what he's like off it, and players like him, it's great to be part of the squad.
Have you fallen victim to any of his pranks?
Nah, not really. I mean, he's not massive on the pranks. It's just obviously the stuff that he comes away with, and how upbeat and positive he is. So obviously he's the captain at Aston Villa, so I think you can imagine how important he is to this squad, and how he'll be important to Aston Villa. So he's a great person to be around.
Obviously, you've touched upon the injuries that you have in the squad. No Robertson, Tierney, Hickey, Adams or Gunn now, key players that are missing. Is that playing in anyone's mind, or are you fully confident when you look around the squad that you've got good guys, strong guys that can come in?
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, it's disappointing to not have these guys with us. They are a massive part of the squad, but I think if you look at the squad now, the strength and depth in it is very good, and I'm sure boys will be relishing to come in and take the opportunity that will be given to them come these couple of games that are coming up. And everyone's got full belief in them that they can do that. So it's a really exciting opportunity for these type of guys that might get the call in, and I'm sure they'll grasp it with both hands.
We've talked about Georgia, obviously that's next who you're going to be playing. They have given Scotland troubles in the past in Euro qualifiers. Do you talk about that at all, and kind of the potential to try and avoid those banana skins, if you like, or is that completely in the past?
Yeah, not necessarily. I don't think we've touched on it all. We'll touch on it. The boys were most aware that these type of fixtures are extremely difficult, and you've got to be at your best to come out the other ends with 3 points. So we won't get complacent, and we're fully expecting an extremely tough game and giving Georgia the utmost respect as a nation, and hopefully we can come out with 3 points, which we'll be certainly looking to get.
And again, the fans have almost got this expectation that, yes, Scotland maybe have slipped up in the past with these games, but it's not going to happen this time around because of what they have seen from you guys previously. That must also kind of give you confidence as well, and give you that kind of slight edge over maybe what would have happened in the past with some teams. Yeah,
certainly, and obviously it's a bit of a weird situation with already qualifying and stuff. So, but we'll be going into this fixture knowing that it is a competitive one, and like I said, Georgia will be definitely a difficult match. We obviously know ourselves that we could possibly finish top of the group and affect our seedings going forward as well. So these little factors come into play, and we'll be making sure that we'll try and get the job done.
Just on the Euros, just sum up for us what you can, just as a final point, what this means to you as a player, playing on one of the biggest stages of the footballing world, if you like.
Yeah, I think for each player it's probably the highest accolade to represent your country at a major tournament, and like I said, for me it's massive to represent, and for myself and my family it's massive, and my aim is just to make them proud and make the country proud going forward. So and fingers crossed we can go out there and do a job and make everyone proud. I'm sure you will. Thanks for talking to us. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Georgia against Scotland will be covered on Sports Sound on the BBC Sports Scotland website, and there will be TV highlights on BBC Scotland. Tomorrow we'll have more on the build-up to this qualifier, but for now, thanks for listening.
The Scottish Football Podcast
from BBC Radio Scotland.
BBC Sounds.